Okay, so welcome to CCJ 409L internship meeting. We're only going to have two of these. This is going to be during the first week, and then we're going to have one again during the 10th week of classes. And it's mainly just to kind of go over the run of the land. If you've really watched the video and had a good look at the internship Moodle site, you're going to have a good run of the land already. And if we've kind of talked, you should already really know how things work. So this is just to kind of solidify that. And if you have any other questions, to answer them. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now and take you to that Moodle site where we're going to kind of go over and really cover what we've already covered in the past. All right, so hopefully this isn't the first time you are seeing this screen. And again, what this is the Moodle site. It's very similar, in fact, pretty much exactly like the prep site that you've already been given access to. A reminder that when you enrolled in the class, it defaults to 1 credit. The reason it defaults to 1 credit is because you can take up anywhere from 1 credit to 14 credits. And we do have students in all number of credits. So you do have to change that. And if you don't do it between now and week 3, there's no other way to change it. I have students that have tried to change it and it just doesn't, you literally cannot do it after week 3. So if you're waiting, you're procrastinating and you're not doing it, if you don't do it after week 3, you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So you need to make sure that you change it. If you have not done it yet, go do it today. If you're wondering how to do it, I'm going to zoom down here really quickly. Right here, how to change from 1 to 14 credits to however many credits you need to take. Here's a little how to do it. It's a little form that will take you through, walk through how to do that so you can change those credits. All right, so please do that right away. When you take your quiz and then when you do the forum, there's going to be some questions that ask you, because I always have students, unfortunately, there's always one that doesn't do that. And then they always say, oh, you didn't tell me. So we have added that to the quiz and to the forum so that we have a way to document that, yeah, we did tell you. And yeah, you answered the quiz and did a forum where you said you did change those. So you're going to be answering questions that you did that. So make sure you go do that. All right, so here was the link to this meeting that you're here at now. And again, I think I changed that to week 10, so it's not week 9, it's week 10. This is our final meeting, and this is where I'll be saying, hey, make sure all your assignments are in. They are due week 10. Again, I always have one student that says, oh, I didn't realize they were due week 10. I didn't realize everything's due week 10. And I'll say, yeah, everything is due by week 10, not the finals week, because I don't need 2 days to make sure I grade everything. I need at least a week. So everything is due by week 10. What's going to happen is you're going to have the first couple weeks where a lot of stuff is due. You're going to have the contract due. You're going to have the learning objectives due. If you work at a job, you're going to have that first extra assignment that's due. You're going to have just a lot of different things that are due. And then you're going to have the middle period where you're just doing weekly reports that are due each week you work. And then at the end, around week 8, 9, and 10, unless you finished really quickly, you're going to have a lot more things that are due, like the thank you email, like your evaluations, like community service, all those kinds of things. So you need to make sure you are on those things and you do not wait until finals week, because we really don't have a finals in this class. Everything is due in by Sunday of week 10. So hopefully you're on it and you have it done way before that, because you can, but make sure you have everything in and done no later than Sunday of week 10. You can do it way before, but no later than Sunday of week 10. I'm not in here grading every week. I know by this time that you've had those classes where everything's due. I will probably go in and grade about week 3 or 4. I'll send you an email out to let you know, hey, I'm going in there grading. Make sure that you have these things in there. So I'm going to give you a heads up. And then I'll probably go in there and grade around probably week 7 or 8, and then again after week 10. I'll give you plenty of heads up. Also, I'm not looking for things such as grammar or do you have all your spelling. I'm not putting it through Grammarly. I'm just making sure that things are the proper length. So if there's a thank you email and it says it has to be 500 words, make sure it's 500 words. If there's a thing such as a weekly report and it says it has to be 1 page, make sure it's 1 page. But if I don't say I'm looking for grammar, which I'm never looking for grammar, then don't worry, I'm not looking for grammar. I'm just making sure you have it submitted and that it's there. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. All right, so a couple things that I'm going to go over that are important. Introduction. Facts, this FAQ area, this is really important. A lot of the information from the agreement quiz comes from the facts. So I highly recommend that I would even have 2 browser pages open. One would be the quiz on one page and one would be the facts on another browser, because a lot of the questions, like I said, comes from the facts page. So just hint, hint, you're going to get a lot of those answered from the facts. Also, I'd watch that mandatory internship video. Make sure you watch it. In fact, you have to, because as you can see right now, that agreement quiz is not going to be open until you have opened the facts, opened the mandatory internship video, and watched that community volunteer video. Can you take that quiz? Okay, so there's some things that are restricted until you click on some of those things. So that's when you're going to see it's restricted. And all that means is you have to click on them before it's going to allow you to take those things. All right, same with the forum. Until you take the quiz, you can't do the forum. So there's a couple of things that are restricted until you do the other things first. All right. Also, you have to do the quiz first and the forum first before you move on. All right, here's the syllabus in case you want to review that. I'm not going to review that with you right here. You can do that on your own. All right, the final 2 big areas are what we call documents. And then I'm going to go down, and then finally assignments. So documents are just all the assignments you have to turn in, but with examples. So here's all the documents. You just don't turn them in here. They just come with examples. And then here's all, after you fill out those documents, here's where you turn in those assignments. All right. And so for example, if you see right here, that SOU contract, it'll tell you, you have to have this filled out and you cannot log any hours until this is turned out. But in order for you to come in here and turn it in, you have to watch that video first. You have to complete the quiz and the forum before you can turn that in. So there's just a few things that kind of keeps you on track, making sure you're doing everything that you need to do. So that's important. Okay, so let's come back up to documents. So remember I told you you're going to be kind of busy the first couple of weeks. So first couple of weeks is the contract. This is meant so you can do everything electronically. So it will tell you right here, here's instructions on how to fill it out via the computer. For those of you that are more computer literate, it's going to be easier for you. There's a number of different ways you can do this. You can do it on your phone. I've signed this on my phone. I have signed it through my photos. I've signed it on Adobe. I've signed it on my iPad. I've done it all different ways. So there's a number of different ways you can do it. If you work at Jackson County, there's an extra contract that you have to sign, but basically there's 4 people that have to sign this contract. And it talks about it all here. I'm going to let you take the time to read it, but it's basically the student, it's your supervisor where you're working at your internship. It's then me, I'm considered the SOU internship class supervisor. And then it's Susan Dysegard, which her name is right here in her email. That's SOU contracts office. So those are the 4 people. Once you have those signatures, you can count your hours. Okay. But you have to have those signatures, and that date is the magic kind of thing that happens. When you have that, you can count your hours. So that's the contract. All right. Another thing I get is community service or volunteer hours. That's only 5 hours. And how you look at that is it's volunteering in the community, in the criminal justice fields. there are so many different things you can do to give back. Now, what it can't be is I work at Ashland Police Department as a community service officer, and I'm going in this weekend for 5 hours of overtime. Could that be my community service hours? No, that's not. It could be I work at Ashland Police Department as a community service officer, and this weekend we are going to help build a house for the houselessness as volunteering our time. Yeah, that's volunteering. So I've had all different kinds of volunteer hours given. As long as it's something outside of the norm that you're doing, you're good to go. There's a form here. If you click on this, there's a form that has to be filled out and signed by whoever's leading the volunteering project that you're doing, and you'll be good to go. All right, this is also a video explaining what I just explained, but in more detail. All right, learning objectives. That has to be done by week 2 of your internship. It's just, and make sure you follow the example. Every so often I have students turn in like a paragraph written, and this is actually a table. So this is, if you look here, this says examples. So look at the example of what's being given of a learning objective before you turn it in, because I've given you an example of what it's supposed to look like. So look at it and then follow the example. All right, also weekly reflection form. There's an example of what it's supposed to look like. It's a 1-page form. It's just a bullet list of what you liked best at your internship and what you maybe didn't like. And you just turn it in every week you work. It's pretty easy. All right, then you have to do either an ethical issue report or an agency analysis in staff meeting. So you either have to do something that you think somebody did at your work that wasn't ethically right, or you have to go to a staff meeting and do an analysis of the agency you're working for. Either one. And then this is really important because some of you are working at some agencies that are pretty big, and you have to prepare for this. And what that means is you have to tell your supervisor right now, hey, you have to do an evaluation of me. Here it is. I printed it out for you. Here it is. And you have to email this or mail it to my professor, Tiffany Morey. Here's her email by this date. She has to have it in her hands by week 9 or 10 of the semester, which is, I think it's June 7th. And so for some of you, I would give this to your supervisor this week, because you know that it's just going to take that long for some of your supervisors. The worst thing that you're going to have happen, folks, is week 10 to come, and you're going to tell me, my supervisor hasn't sent this to you. And I'm going to say, when did you give it to your supervisor? And you're going to tell me 2 days ago. And I'm going to say, don't you remember when we had that Zoom meeting and I told you to give it to your supervisor in week 1 or 2 of the quarter? That's not good. So you need to pre-plan to give this evaluation that your supervisor needs to fill out on you. Make sure you give it to them at least minimum 2 to 4 weeks in advance, so that they have enough time to let it sit, to plan it out, to fill it out, and then to email it to me, or even mail it if they have to, because you cannot give this to me. It has to either be, there's 3 different ways to give it to me. If you click on it, it tells you how to do it, but it's either email, mail. It used to be you could deliver it in a sealed envelope to me, but with COVID, that's getting kind of hard right now. And then you do an evaluation of your immediate supervisor, and then you do an evaluation of where you're working, the place you're actually working. All right. And then there's a daily activity log. This is done near the end after you've worked. If you are doing 2 credits, it shows how you work those 60 hours. On Monday, April 5th, I worked 8 hours. On Tuesday, April 7th, I worked 8 hours. It shows all those hours, how you got your 60 hours, or how you got your 120 hours, or how you got your 300 hours. It's a total hour work loggage. And then your supervisor has to sign it. So again, you need to make sure you plan to have time for that supervisor to sign that. And then there's a final reflection. It's just 2 pages where you actually write. Again, I'm not looking at grammar. It's just got to be 2 type pages. It's just where you sum up everything. It's the one time you kind of write. Then there's a thank you email. This has to be 500 words. I always get at least 1 student who doesn't write 500 words. Don't be that student, please. And then this is where you turn in all your assignments. All right. At the very end, there's also one more thing that I'm not seeing here. This is a final assignment checklist. You print this out and it just basically says, I did this, I did this, I did this. Because I always get some students that forget to turn in certain things. And this is the end of a quarter survey. And again, this is just answering 2 questions. I did all my assignments because again, I have some students that just unfortunately forget to do certain assignments. So this is just, again, going through all the assignments, and it's just a kind of like a double checking for you to make sure that you completed all the assignments that you were required to complete. So it's just helping you to double check and go back and make sure that you looked at all these assignments and you did them by Sunday of week 10. All right, so I'm going to go to chat. It looks like I have a chat. Okay, we got that. Good. All right, so if you have a question, you're not able to talk, go ahead and put that in the chat and I'll answer those. If you're able to talk, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question. Right here, you can see with the reflections, I don't let you fill out reflection 2 until you've filled out the first reflection. I don't let you fill out reflection 3 until you filled out the second reflection, because we don't look at this as a weekly class like a normal class. It's week 1 of your work week 2 of your work week, because some of you aren't going to start working until week 3 of the quarter. And when week 3 of the quarter is, that will be your first week. So that will be week 1 reflection. So this is just a little bit different of a class. So don't think of it like a normal weekly class. Think of this a little bit differently. All right. So any questions from anybody? Are we going to have a short meeting, which is fine with me? Nope. All right, you guys. Again, like I said, I will let you know before I check any of the assignments, so you'll have a heads up. I recommend staying on top of it. For those of you that are kind of that type A, OCD, I know you'll be getting those assignments in. For those not, I will give you a heads up before I go in and check. And have fun out there. This means if you're in this class, you're getting near the end. This is exciting. This is a great time to boost those resumes with this internship site. So enjoy yourselves. Let me know if you have any questions. I just got a chat. Let me see if there's a question. Okay. If you're not starting, generally what happens is, generally, I want everybody to start by week 3, because week 3 is the drop dead date, which means that if you're not starting by week 3, I like you to drop the class because I don't want you to lose credits. But if you know you're definitely starting by April, mid-April, end of April, if you have a date you're starting, that's fine. That's just going to be whenever your start date is. That's your week 1. That's your week 2. That's your week 3. If you're not finished, just keep in close communication with me. If you're not finished with your hours by the end of the term, keep in communication with me. We will see where you are. We'll do an incomplete. We'll talk about that more at the time. Just keep in communication with me if you're not going to be finished with all of the assignments by the end of the term. I got another question. Complete assignments ahead of time. Yeah, if you completed assignments ahead of time, so what'll happen is if you started, so some of you have started ahead of the term, that's fine. You have your assignments already done. Just start doing everything like you should. So go ahead and watch the video, go ahead and do the quiz. You'll just turn in everything. You'll just keep doing. So you'll watch the video, you'll do the quiz, and then turn in your assignments. Then you'll be able to turn in your assignments. So no big deal on that. As far as that goes, it's just what's going to happen is you've already done those things. It's just Moodle isn't going to let you go ahead and submit those weekly reflections or those things until you've watched the video and taken the quiz and done the forum. Does that make sense? So, but you've got to do it anyway. So go ahead and do those things and then you'll catch up to it and it'll catch up. It's just going to take you a little bit to catch up on that, but no big deal. All right. Any other questions? All right, you guys. If you have any more questions, send me an email. If not, I think that takes us through all the questions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and